Next question is: a development team is currently using AWS Code Deploy to deploy an application revision to an auto-scaling group. If the deployment process fails, it must be rolled back automatically and a notification must be sent. What is the most effective configuration that can satisfy all of the requirements? A. Create Amazon CloudWatch events rules for code deploy operations. Configure a CloudWatch events rule to send out an Amazon SNS message when the deployment fails. Configure code deploy to automatically roll back when the deployment fails. B. Use available Amazon CloudWatch metrics for code deploy to create CloudWatch alarms. Configure CloudWatch alarms to send out an Amazon SNS message when the deployment fails. Use AWS CLI to redeploy a previously deployed revision. C. Configure a code deploy agent to create a trigger that will send notification to Amazon SNS topics when the deployment fails. Configure code deploy to automatically roll back when the deployment fails. D. Use AWS CloudTrail to monitor API calls made by or on behalf of code deploy in the AWS account. Send an Amazon SNS message when deployment fails. Use AWS CLI to redeploy a previously deployed revision. Correct answer is A. Next question is: a large enterprise is deploying a web application on AWS. The application runs on Amazon EC2 instances behind an application load balancer. The instances run in an auto-scaling group across multiple availability zones. The application stores data in an Amazon RDS Oracle DB instance and Amazon DynamoDB. There are separate environments for development, testing, and production. What is the most secure and flexible way to obtain password credentials during deployment? A. Retrieve an access key from an AWS Systems Manager secure string parameter to access AWS services. Retrieve the database credentials from a Systems Manager secure string parameter. B. Launch the EC2 instances with an EC2 IAM role to access AWS services. Retrieve the database credentials from AWS Secrets Manager. C. Retrieve an access key from an AWS Systems Manager plaintext parameter to access AWS services. Retrieve the database credentials from a Systems Manager secure string parameter. D. Launch the EC2 instances with an EC2 IAM role to access AWS services. Store the database passwords in an encrypted config file with the application artifacts. Correct answer is B. Next question is: a DevOps engineer is designing a deployment strategy for a web application. The application will use an auto-scaling group to launch Amazon EC2 instances using an AMI. The same infrastructure will be deployed in multiple environments: development, test, and quality assurance. The deployment strategy should meet the following requirements. Minimize the startup time for the instance. Allow the same AMI to work in multiple environments. Store secrets for multiple environments securely. How should this be accomplished? A. Pre-configure the AMI using an AWS Lambda function that launches an Amazon EC2 instance, and then runs a script to install the software and create the AMI. Configure an auto-scaling lifecycle hook to determine which environment the instance is launched in, and, based on that finding, run a configuration script. Save the secrets on an .ini file and store them in Amazon S3. Retrieve the secrets using a configuration script in EC2 user data. B. Pre-configure the AMI by installing all the software using AWS Systems Manager automation and configure auto-scaling to tag the instances at launch with their specific environment. Then use a bootstrap script in user data to read the tags and configure settings for the environment. Use the AWS Systems Manager parameter store to store the secrets using AWS KMS. C. Use a standard AMI from the AWS Marketplace. Configure auto-scaling to detect the current environment. Install the software using a script in Amazon EC2 user data. Use AWS Secrets Manager to store the credentials for all environments. D. Pre-configure the AMI by installing all the software and configuration for all environments. Configure auto-scaling to tag the instances at launch with their environment. Use the Amazon EC2 user data to trigger an AWS Lambda function that reads the instance ID and then reconfigures the setting for the proper environment. Use the AWS Systems Manager parameter store to store the secrets using AWS KMS. Correct answer is B. Next question is: a developer is maintaining a fleet of 50 Amazon EC2 Linux servers. The servers are part of an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling group, and also use elastic load balancing for load balancing. Occasionally, some application servers are being terminated after failing ELB HTTP health checks. The developer would like to perform a root cause analysis on the issue, but before being able to access application logs, the server is terminated. How can log collection be automated? A. Use auto-scaling lifecycle hooks to put instances in a pending wait state. Create an Amazon CloudWatch alarm for EC2 instance terminate successful and trigger an AWS Lambda function that executes an SSM run command script to collect logs, push them to Amazon S3, and complete the lifecycle action once logs are collected. B. Use auto-scaling lifecycle hooks to put instances in a terminating wait state. Create a config rule for and trigger a step function that executes a script to EC2 instance terminate lifecycle action. Collect logs, push them to Amazon S3, and complete the lifecycle action once logs are collected. C. Use auto-scaling lifecycle hooks to put instances in a terminating wait state. Create an Amazon CloudWatch subscription filter for EC2 instance terminate successful and trigger a CloudWatch agent that executes a script to called logs, push them to Amazon S3, and complete the lifecycle action once logs are collected. D. Use auto-scaling lifecycle hooks to put instances in a terminating wait state. Create an Amazon CloudWatch events rule for EC2 instance terminate lifecycle action and trigger an AWS Lambda function that executes a SSM run command script to collect logs, push them to Amazon S3, and complete the lifecycle action once logs are collected. Correct answer is D. Our team is working hard to keep the content up to date. If you find this video helpful, please let us know in the comment. We really appreciate if you like and subscribe to our channel. If you are looking for any particular certification which is currently not available on our channel, please mention that in the comment. Our team will prioritize those. Thank you.